No, it's so strange. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wine, Women, and Words. I am Michelle, and with me, of course, is Diana.
Hello.
And this evening, we are joined by poet and author. Which do you prefer, poet or author, or both?
Either. Either or is fine.
Magda Ayuk, and I should have asked you, I completely blanked. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
Ayuk.
perfect. Good. And she is going to be discussing her poetry with us this evening. And her new book just came out recently, Bluebird, which is a collection of her poetry. So thank you so much for joining us, Magda. We're really excited to have you on tonight.
Thank you.
And really quick, before we dive into it, since we are Wine, Women, and Words, what is everyone drinking this evening?
Okay, well, I have apple juice.
We will accept that.
There have been nights that I either don't have wine, or if I'm sick and I don't really want wine, I'll pour like apple juice into a wine glass to feel fancy.
We all need those fancy nights.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which one are you having, Diana? Which wine?
I am drinking the Tempo Vero wine.
Which one is that? Do you have the bottle? I want to see.
I do. It's really pretty, kind of
Oh,
fancy
nice.
looking bottle. Yeah, it kind of looks like almost Moroccan-ish. It's really good. It's got a nice little spice to it.
Very cool. I'm still working on the Merlot, the Kin and Country from last week. I'm anxiously waiting for my new box to get here. It should be on its way soon. But these are, of course, our Wink wines that we're talking about. And if anyone wants to go check out Wink and give it a try, you should go to trywink.com/www podcast. And I'm totally stealing Diana's lines tonight because she's the one that usually says all that.
No, but I'm so proud of you. You're actually giving our pitch correctly.
I know.
You're like a big girl now.
We're on time. We're using our words. I went to a book signing a few weeks ago with Emily Giffen, and I totally forgot my words. Like all the words gone, lost them all. So it's exciting when I remember my words. But if you follow that link, you will get $22 off of your first box, and you'll be amazed at the wines that Wink chooses for you. Mm-hmm. So if you guys want, check it out and let us know which wines you get.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And in the meantime, I figured the red wine would go really well with Bluebird. That's part of the reason why I chose it.
It does, I think. Well, anytime we've very rarely discussed poetry, so I feel like we're very sophisticated tonight.
And I have to say, I love this poetry. I'm not typically a poetry person. Mm-hmm. I blame bad high school boyfriends on that. I'm not gonna lie. You can only have your eyes compared to chocolate so many times before it starts to ruin itself for you. But I really did enjoy this poetry. I actually have pages that are earmarked, and I've got Post-its, at least one Post-it on here. I ran out of Post-its, so that's why I ended up earmarking pages of the book. And it got pretty well worn. What were some of the inspirations for you for some of this poetry?
Okay. I started writing poetry again when I moved to Korea for the first time. That was in 2014. And I was going through a rough time. So I just started writing poetry again, and I started posting it, and it was well received. So I just decided, okay, let's write a book. So the themes that I decided to explore are race, gender, freedom, self-love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, freedom, that's the one I actually have a Post-it on. I forgot to cage my breast this morning, but I didn't care. My nipples deserve the sun too. Freedom. I love that one. That was like so
Thank
great.
you.
That I think that should be the big boob girl anthem. Oh. And I think not just big boob girl, but I also anthem because I mean we keep them in contraptions so much, and it's so much a part of us.
Yeah, exactly. And bras aren't comfortable, so everyone. The
They're
first thing
awful.
you
Oh my gosh.
take it off. Yeah.
It's the best feeling in the world when you come home. I don't care what time of day it is. If I am home for the day, it could be like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I changed into my pajamas immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
that also means I'm not going back out for the rest of the day. So, but I'm really, and I'm the same as Diana. I've written poetry a long time ago, but it was always, poetry that rhymed. So poetry that doesn't rhyme kind of blows my mind as far as the writing process, because I'm very type A personality and I need structure, and and I can't find the structure in poetry that doesn't rhyme. So how can you for people who don't know poetry that well, like us, can you explain the writing process for that type of poetry?
I mainly write about what I'm feeling at the moment, about a certain topic. I write it down, and it's free verse. Like I'm all over the place. So to have to rhyme or to follow a certain form, that's not my thing at all. Like some of my poems do rhyme, but most of them don't. So it's poetry. It doesn't need to rhyme for it to be poetry. So my process is, like I said, I focus on a particular theme or feeling, and I just write what comes to mind.
And how
you mentioned.
You go.
Okay. You mentioned that you're living in South Korea. What brought you there?
Well, I don't live there anymore. I left in May of this year, but I moved there to teach English. I had a business in Montreal, a translation business, and it failed. So I was thinking like, okay, I need to make money. So what else can I do? So I decided to teach English, and I moved to Korea in 2014.
How was that experience for you?
It was great for the most part, but it was tough. Like it hit me when I was on the plane. I'm like, oh, I'm really doing this, I'm like, really, I'm really going to be by myself, and it was the first time ever that I was really by myself. So it was hard to get used to a new environment and not knowing anybody. So yeah, that's what prompted me to start writing.
And that's fantastic. And I find that so admirable that's what brought you to writing, was being in this new environment and being in this, I mean, really new culture when it comes down to it. Am I correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you had put some of your work out there and that takes a lot of courage. And I really admire that, especially I feel like with poetry, you bear more of your soul than when you do with other prose.
Yeah, definitely. Like Bluebird is my child. I always say it's hard, like putting it out there and then awaiting the critique. It's because you put everything into it, and you work so hard on it. And Bluebird, I worked on it over the past 3 years, 3-4 years. So I put a lot into it, and at the last minute, I made huge changes. So because I've grown a lot in the past 4 years.
And so this took you 4 years to put together?
Yeah, 4 years. I thought it was done like 2 years ago, but I made last minute changes like a month before releasing it.
Oh, wow.
Like it's kind of like I rewrote it actually. Yeah, I really got into the Harlem Renaissance, and that really inspired me to make some changes to the book.
Fantastic.
Now I know with some writers like Diana and myself and most writers that we've talked to, we all have writing routines where one author that we've spoken with will just write a page every day, at least one page, or some authors will try to hit 1,000 words a day. Did you have that kind of structure where you're like, okay, I am going to write a poem today? Or was it just you would write whenever it, inspiration struck, or was it free flowing like that?
Well, poetry is therapy for me, so naturally I just write every day. I didn't set any like rules for myself. I didn't say, oh, you have to do like a poem a day. I just wrote. So sometimes I'd write one poem a day, and sometimes I'd write more than that. Mm-hmm.
And there are so many. I'm trying to find one. I know it was early on. Oh gosh, it was the one with the men who told the women what to do, and they got sick of listening to them, and they got up, and I walked out, and I had my son was sleeping on my lap, and my daughter had just fallen asleep on the couch next to me, and I was like, I need to talk about this with someone because there are so many meanings. I was getting very into my like analytical, mind frame where I was like, it's so present, and it's so, you can apply it to what's going on right now in the world, which I think is interesting. If it's so, poetry is so introspective, but when someone reads it, they may not get whatever you were feeling or whatever you were thinking when you wrote it. They could take it and apply it to their own lives or to, their own world.
Yeah, definitely. I write about things in my personal life, but a lot of the time I write about what's going on in society. So that's one of those pieces.
I think that was probably one of my favorite ones.
Thank you.
And I love the cover, by the way. Can we talk about the cover for a second?
My friend Alexa, I wanted a picture of myself because on my Instagram page, up until recently, I was mainly posting photos of women of color who were not me, basically. So I decided to be more present in my work. So I told her, and yeah, she came up with this, and the feathers, obviously, because of Bluebird, and blue's my favorite color as well. So yeah, she did a great job. Thank you.
It's a beautiful cover.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
I know everyone says you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but we really do that. Like, we can't. Half the time, the cover is what attracts us to a book. So we really do judge books all the time.
Yeah, true.
Well, I mean, people put so much work into the books. In general, I feel authors do, and sometimes you just need a pretty cover and just a nice cover to go with the book. Now, out of curiosity, Bluebird, what's the particular meaning behind it for our listeners, for them to know? Is there a meaning behind it? Is there a purpose for that title?
Okay, bird, it represents freedom to me. And and to everyone, I think. And blue, it represents peace and serenity. And also, I decided to call it Bluebird. And then I remembered that when I was 8, actually, the first poem that I wrote was about a bluebird. And like I had totally forgotten. So it kind of worked out.
Yeah, it absolutely did. And I always love to find out the author's take on the meanings of their book titles. So I found that quite interesting, and I love that. I love the fact that it brings a full circle for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And is there a particular poem that you really like? If we had to pick out one poem, only one poem to read from the book, is there one? Which one would you choose?
I like Goddess Blood
a lot. I'm totally putting you on the spot.
Okay.
Which one?
Goddess Blood.
Sorry. Goddess Blood. I love that one too. That is such a great one.
Thank you.
Do you want to read it for our audience?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
All right. You know those type of compliments that strip you of your skin, turn your gender into sin? Honey, let me tell you about a man named, well, let's call him Bob to protect his identity. This man took me out on a date one night, right? It all started out quite perfect. He was cute, sweet, and smelled of rain, but it didn't take long before he blew it. He said, You're not like those other blacks who cuss and holler and yap. You're not like those other girls who whine and cry and skip dinner time. I had to drop my fork. Do you think I hate myself? I had to scream it this time. Do you think I hate myself? I have the blood of black women in my veins. If I picked up this fork and poked at my wrist, you would be in the presence of God. He said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You didn't mean to, but you did. I picked up my purse, walked out the door, and never saw that sucker again. Now, honey, I hope this never happens to you. But if it does, you're now prepared. If a man ever disrespects you, you let him know who raised you. Godless blood.
Love that one. That's such a good one, such a powerful one, and I love that bringing home that ancestral connection and that empowerment just within that. And I'm assuming that came from a bad date.
Well, not a date, but just like multiple experiences throughout the years. Like I've gotten that from like friends, even like as a compliment, supposedly. Oh, you're not like those other super loud, or I've gotten that a lot in my life. Yeah.
That's like one of those what I call insults wrapped in a compliment, or compliment wrapped in an insult.
Exactly. Because I love who I am. I love my people. And for someone to act as if insulting who I am really is a compliment to me, that's just ridiculous to me.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, how can you even respond to something like that? It's like, you can't say thank you, and it's like, thanks.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, what?
It's like, oh, well, you're not like all those other guys who are jerks and rude and
you're not like
yeah,
the
exactly.
other racists out there. I don't see the swastika tattoo.
Oh, and once you had all of your poems, once you decided like, this is it, I am done, I have, you know, everything that I want to put into this book, was there a process as far as deciding which poem went where? Did you have to kind of decide placement and like a flow to the collection?
Yeah. So I started doing that like right away. So I wrote it, and then as time went on, I just kind of moved things around. I didn't want it to be like sad poem, sad poem, sad poem, like one after the next. I wanted to be there to be movement, you know, like I wanted people to feel different things.
And were there some poems that are on the cutting room floor that might be coming out in book 2?
Well, I cut out a lot of, but I won't be releasing them. No. But I did finish book 2, and I submitted that to a publisher, and I'm going to see whether it was accepted or not. But I should be releasing it soon.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. And do you go to poetry readings where you perform your own poetry, just not work that will go into books, just other work that you've done?
I haven't in a while. I did perform the poem, like at the back of the book. I performed this piece because I do burlesque as well, and at one of my performances, I performed this piece. But regularly, no. I'm more of a, like, I write my poems. I don't really perform them as of yet.
Okay. And that was something else. I'm glad you brought that up. The burlesque. I saw that on your I want to say Instagram, that I saw you do burlesque shows. How is that? Talk to us a bit about that, because I actually do enjoy going to burlesque shows myself.
Well, I saw a show maybe 3-4 years ago, and I told myself I want to do burlesque, but I just never like sought out any opportunities. And then a year ago, my friend texted me randomly. He's like, "Do you want to join an all-black burlesque group?" I said, okay. and then and then from then on, we did a photo shoot, and then we just started performing in Seoul. So it was really fun. Like at first I was shy, but once I started performing, it was fine. I looked forward to performing.
How cool. And I'm assuming that's a very empowering form of entertainment?
Yeah, definitely. You really realize how much power you have. Like just one person, all eyes are on you, and you're really controlling what's going on, what they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. I've been to a couple burlesque shows. I haven't in a very long time, but I always admire the confidence that the women have during when they go on stage, because I feel like that's nothing I could do. I'm too quiet to do anything like that. But but these women are so confident, and they're so, so strong and powerful in themselves, that I feel like that really makes the show what it is.
Yeah, the confidence, it comes like little by little. When I first started, I wasn't super confident. But then I realized, like we all have insecurities. But then I realized once I got on stage that no one cares about them. No one's looking at you and scrutinizing every like dimple or stretch mark on your body. Yeah.
Yeah,
Michelle, you say that you're too shy for burlesque. I think my problem is that I'm too uncoordinated.
Well, that too. I'm too accident prone.
Yeah, exactly.
If there's like a crack in the stage, I will find it and I will fall over it.
I don't even need a crack, honey. I just have my own 2 left feet that I would just fall over.
And you just turn it into a dance move. If you fall, you just
right, just tuck and roll.
Great, yes.
Exactly.
It'd be a comedy burlesque show. I could totally do that. So
I could be like
a new career idea.
I could be the in between act between like actual performances. I could be the mood changer. I would have to come up with a really killer stage name, though. I don't know what that would be.
We'd have the Klutz and the Bookworm. I think that would be great. That would be great names.
It screams confidence.
Oh, it totally does. It totally does. So tell us, where can we find your book for purchase?
On Amazon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can go on Amazon. Yeah. You can find my book on Amazon. But I have a Kindle version, and I also have the paperback.
Fantastic. And get pretty much anything on Amazon, especially this wonderful, wonderful book. And we'll have links to the book as well to share with you guys, so you guys can get your copies as well. Do you have any other questions, Michelle?
I did actually, really quick. I was curious. Now you mentioned that this book, your first, Bluebird, took about four years for you to finish. Now that you've gone through the whole experience of creating a collection of poems, was your second book, the one you just submitted, easier to write in that you kind of knew the whole process, or is it still kind of the same just because it's so personal for you?
It took 3 weeks actually to write the second book. It took 3
really
weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. I had a deadline. So I found out about this publishing company they were looking for new books to publish, and they're like, you have to submit it by this day. So I found out late. So I decided to write about the we're to talk about. So I called the book Things We Hide in the Dark. So since it was very personal, it didn't take too long to write.
Mm-hmm.
But like that, there were sleepless nights, that's for sure. Like I really
imagine, like I love to say,
deadlines.
When I'm dead, you don't need sleep.
Yeah.
Especially when you're creating art.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, 3 weeks. It's great. And then I love the subject matter of your books. I mean, Bluebird I find so empowering and so free, obviously. And then this next one is going to be, you said you're covering things, personal matters and things too afraid to share in the dark. So I'm curious as to what kind of subject matter you're going to be touching on in that.
Okay. I'm going to be touching on, like, there's going to abortion, for example, divorce, things like that people don't readily broadcast to everyone. Yeah.
And that's fantastic, because I think the statistic for the U.S., I think, was it 1 in 4 women in the U.S. have gotten an abortion?
Yeah, it's very common. It's just that people don't talk about it. You know, you go through it by yourself and you don't share, you know. But when you talk, when someone, like, let's say you're in a group of friends and someone says that they've gone through that, then other people are going to start to talk like, yeah, me too. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's stuff that we need to continue to talk about, so that it's not so, because I think when we stop talking about it, it starts to become stigmatized, and you start to have
exactly
issues. Like, I know with the subject of abortion, one of the things that always gets me is that women don't talk about miscarriages, and the fact that those same procedures that are in abortions that get regulated are the things that can save women's lives in miscarriages. And because we don't talk about that, and because we're not so open about that, women who are wanting to keep their children, are wanting to make the choice to keep their children, are being victimized by these laws that are not created that intentionalize for them. And so we're hurting a mass amount of women unintentionally, in addition to the ones that these laws are intending to hurt as well. So yeah, I think speech and talking and stories are so important. What was that comedian? Nan, was her first name. I don't know if you saw that Netflix special. If either of you saw that.
I don't think so. It sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't think so.
I recommend everybody watch it. And she said something very important. She said, laughter is only the medicine for our for the illness, but stories are the cure. And I think that. Right? Right? It was much more deep than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was turning on this comedy special that everybody was raving about, and it wasn't quite a comedy special. It was a bit of comedy with like this hard, like, truth and stories and hard medicine. And I feel like poetry, especially poetry like yours, Magda, is important because it's that medicine, but it's that not so harsh medicine, not so if you know what I'm trying to get at here. It's that easy medicine that poetry kind of has, that soothing effect, almost like Vicks Vapor Rub. Not to compare your poetry to Vicks Vapor Rub, but you guys, you understand that feeling after you're sick, you have that Vicks Vapor Rub, and you finally are able to start to breathe and to start to feel better. It's kind of like that, and that kind of feeling. So I love your poetry, and I think, yeah, definitely keep up with the great poetry, and we'll have to have you back on for the second book.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for making the time for us this evening, Magda. We really appreciate it. And yes, when the second book comes out, let us know. We'd love to have you back.
Thank you.
And everyone, the book again is Bluebird. So grab a copy and read it, and let us know which poems you like, because we love talking about them. And we are going to switch over to our discussion on the book of the month, which is The City of Brass. And Magda, you're welcome to stay and hang out. If you'd like to click off, you're welcome to do so. Whatever you want to do.
Alrighty. Yeah, I have to catch a flight tomorrow morning.
Oh. Then go prepare for your flight. Yes.
Alrighty. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
We really appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
So we are switching over now to The City of Brass, which All right. I don't know. Can you guys see if you're watching? My bookmark is like, can't really see it. It's over here.
She's almost finished with the book, guys. I'm so excited. We have so much to discuss.
This is the parts that I have left. That bookmark was a lot farther to the left when I woke up this morning. Oh, and just total sidebar, but look at the gorgeous postcard I'm using as my bookmark.
For those of you who are listening.
That is from Gwendolyn Womack.
I love the watercolor tarot card postcards that she does. She needs to hurry up and come out with her third book so that we can have her back on the show.
I know, because we fangirled pretty hard when we got Gwendolyn Womack on the show. I feel like next Saturday, because we are having a special episode, a brunch episode for City of Brass next Saturday. I feel like that's going to be another fangirl episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try to control myself and be like, so we can book you for the second book, right? Because I'm gonna have so much to discuss with you over the second book. Because I am so in love with this book.
I'm already, like, I texted Diana this morning when I was a whole 100 pages back with the book. I texted Diana and I said, I'm already sad that this book is ending. Like, I already don't want this book to end. Because it's so good. So, all right. We're learning a little at this point. I'm on page 380, just to give you guys an idea. But now that we're at the point, or I'm at the point where they've arrived to Daevabad. One question, I'm going to just give her a list of words. I'm going to ask her to pronounce them all for us. Because I want to know that I am pronouncing them correctly in my head. So now it's still an adventure story, but now we're crossing over into like a political thriller almost. Mm-hmm. Like before, the first half of the book was kind of like an adventure thriller. And now it's a political thriller because now we have like the political tensions and the backstabbing and the double talk. And what are you holding?
I'm holding my book without the, you see, I have the book cover, but the book cover came off because this was a pool read. And it has taken quite a bit of damage and love from the pool. Like some of the glues come up on the edge. Bizgig, it was on the edge of the pool, and Bizgig was standing on the book at one point, catching her Nerf ball from the pool and just dripping water all over it. So it's a good thing I had a hardcover of this. There was a point where in the book where it looks like I dropped it in the water. This book is well loved. This book is well loved almost as much as Magda's book is, because Magda's book got pretty beat up. So yeah, it's two very well-loved books tonight.
I know. I'm trying to. Our book next month is coming with me to the Outer Banks, and I just remember last year when we were reading The Fortune Teller. It was Gwendolyn's book actually, and I remember taking it. It was so beat up by the end of the month because I was taking it to the beach and to the pool and to everything.
Well, next month it's gonna be a good book for the beach and for the pool because it's a mystery and it's a thriller and it's purse size, so it's not very big, so it's gonna be perfect for that. It's gonna be so great. And guys, next month we're gonna have more giveaways. We've had a bunch last month. You guys are getting spoiled.
I know.
I love spoiling our audience.
But all right, so
yes,
now I'm getting back to the book.
Yes.
There is, when you guys read this book, if you're not reading along with us, you have about 10 days to read a 530-page book. And I believe in you.
It can be done. I did it. If I did it, then you guys can do it. You have my
And
permission to go ahead and flake off of your work, flake off of whatever schoolwork you may have. Put the kids on autopilot. Just stick whatever cartoons. What's the big cartoon now? Is it Paw Patrol still?
well, Paw Patrol is pretty good. Totally thought of this meme, but Paw Patrol is a favorite in our house. And Blaze. And okay, side note for all the moms and dads watching, listening. I want to know what sick sense of humor person had, designer, illustrator, whatever the title is, when they're creating Blaze, because anyone who has watched the show knows it's Blaze. He's like a monster truck that helps his other monster truck. And his catchphrase is "Let's blaze." Whenever they're like gonna go solve an adventure, it's "Let's blaze."
Sounds like a monster truck after my own heart.
But anyway.
But yeah, go ahead and put your kids in front of Blaze, because that sounds really great. And Paw Patrol, just put them on autopilot. You can totally do it. You've got my permission. Let your laundry build up. Let those dishes pile up. Your spouse or significant other will get to them. Don't worry about it. And read this book. You've got 10 days to do it. You can do it.
I mean, full disclosure, when I got my copy of the book, I had no idea it was this long. And I thought, there's no way. There's no way I can finish this in a month. Like there are many times that I finished the book like the day before, or like an hour before we go on the show to do the interview. Just the nature of my life.
I've never done such a thing. Or finish it the day after we've talked to the author. Like with The Paris Secret. And we were
oh my gosh, I love that
all
book.
the spoilers.
Oh, I'm sorry. You should have told me.
That's okay, because it was my bad, because I needed to finish it by the end of the month.
So, and also, I love that this book has a prologue. It has like maybe like.
Oh, don't you dare read that prologue yet. Don't you dare.
I'm not. I haven't read it yet.
There's a major spoiler in that prologue. You are not allowed to get into that prologue yet until the prologue, and I cannot wait for you to get into that prologue, because I'm going to get that text and oh my god! And then at that point, I can give you all these theories that are bursting in my head, like with that Instagram video that I shared with Raj from the show Big Bang Theory, where his like cheeks are all puffed out, and he's like. Yeah, that's why my cheeks are all puffed out, because of that prologue. Don't you dare read it yet.
I didn't. I was tempted to, because there was a point in time that I would read a book, I'd read it for a little while, flip to the end and read the very last page, because usually the last page is like a paragraph. So you don't get the spoilers, but you know who's still alive, which is really important to me. But I stopped doing that. And I saw the prologue and I was like, ooh, let's read that. And I decided against it.
So we're at how much, on a scale of 1 to 10, how in love with Dara are you?
Well, all right. So Dara, I'm tied between Ali and Dara, because like I was telling Diana, and I text her today, they're like two sides of the same coin, because I feel like Dara was Ali before he like went on a rampage and killed a bunch of people and sacked cities and became the scourge of Daevabad. Seriously, gonna ask how to pronounce.
We'll just go with Daevabad. We'll just go with that. We'll call it City of Brass.
Seriously. So, I mean, I love that. At first I had to spell out what was happening to Diana. I was like, all right, I need to make sure I know what's going on politically, because there, you know, like I said, the first half of the book is kind of like an adventure thriller. So it's all about like the action and getting there and the journey that they're taking to get there. And then midway through, you get like thrown into the political thing. And for a second, I was confused. So once,
And that's one of the things that I did love. Now, did you find that with her, even though you're going through this action adventure side of it, those chapters with Ali, did they feel like they prepared you for the politics for when she got there?
Definitely. Yeah, his perspective definitely set the scene. I was just, it's almost like a circle. Like Dara hates Ali, but Ali hates Dara, but they're both. And then in the middle are like the Shafit, the half breeds, for lack of a better term, and they're like kind of like caught in the middle of this whole thing. And I feel like they're going to be like the key, or they're going to be the reason that everything falls apart. Because they're stuck. And it sucks because their kids are getting stolen and their women are getting like sold into slavery, and it's totally legal because they're half breeds. They have human blood, and human blood is ugh. And I had a very Voldemort moment when I was talking about pure bloods and mixed blood. I was like, well, hello, Voldemort.
It has a lot of that Harry Potter feel to it.
It does, and I am devastated. Like, it's been a long time. I was at the gym the other day, and not even really I wasn't thinking about the book. It was before like my class started, and I was just like standing there, and all of a sudden I thought, wow, I can't wait to get home and watch that series again. And all of a sudden in my mind, I'm thinking of like magic carpets and the Middle East and all. And I'm like, what series am I watching that has magic carpets? And all of a sudden I realized I'm thinking about the book. I was getting homesick for the book. I've missed. There are books that are.
Have you ever gotten homesick for a book? You know what? We'll have to put that out on as a poll. I think we'll do that as a poll. Have you ever gotten homesick for a book?
That's when a book has like completely pulled you into its world. When you get, and people, like, I've told my mom that and told Rich that I got homesick for books, and they think I'm crazy. But that's when you know that a book has completely sucked you into its world, when you miss the world when you are not reading it.
Yes, where I'm actually thinking, okay, I might want to read this a second time, or I might want to listen to it on Audible through a second time. I definitely want to go through it a second time before I pick up book 2 in next year.
I might have to listen to it also, because I would be really curious to see
and scenes, my favorite scenes. I'm sorry.
I'd be really curious to see
and she's not. The author isn't even here yet. And Shannon, if you're listening, don't be scared. I'll be nice.
We're really nice. We swear.
Yes, we swear. We will not stalk you. We will not. We will get you drunk. We will do that. I promise you that.
In the best possible way.
Of course, of course. No peer pressure to drink, though. But it is encouraged.
Sorry, guys.
So,
what? Well, I know you love Dara because you typically go for he's not a villain, but you go for the bad boys.
Yeah, I go for the bad boys, and it's funny because it's like my husband isn't really that much of a bad boy, per se. I mean, he's very much a good guy, but it's that roguish nature where he's not afraid to say the wrong things.
And see what happens.
Yeah. My husband has no filter, and it's one of his characteristics that you either love or hate about him. It's one of the things I love about him 90% of the time. It does make some family dinners kind of awkward. I will not lie, but I love him. But yeah, it's it's the roguishness. It's the Han Solo aspect. And Han Solo was kind of a bad boy, I guess you could say. But he was more of a rogue. He had that sarcastic nature to him.
What was the guy? I know, like, an entire fandom is going to hate me for saying this. What was the name of the captain in Serenity?
Oh, Malcolm.
Yes. He's like him.
Malcolm. Nathan Fillion. Yes, I love him. I'm a huge Malcolm fangirl. Yes. Dara is a lot like him. I see a lot of that. And there was this one scene that I have been raving about that I cannot wait for Michelle to get to, and discuss this scene because it characterizes Dara perfectly. In one paragraph, he's told he can't, because we're at this point now where Nari's discovering her powers and she's training to be this practitioner. And they're trying to keep the two of them apart, and Dara's not having it.
Would you like me to read it?
Ali, huh?
Would you like me to read it?
Yes, go ahead and read the paragraph. My favorite scene in the book.
Okay, hold on. Let me find it. You keep talking.
I was just describing the paragraph.
Okay, hold on. Then I'll look for it.
Yeah.
I know. I just read it, so.
Yeah, because you took a picture of it for me.
I did. Okay, so Ali and Nari are becoming friends. We're going to do friends with air quotes because they each think that they're spying on each other, but they're really becoming friends.
And Ali totally has a crush on her.
He does. And,
I knew you were going to be Team Ali. You
I
always
didn't say I am Team Ali, but I am, of the two of us, I am the more idealistic one. So it would stand to reason that I lean slightly more towards the idealistic character. But so so Dara shows up and Ali is trying to tell him that Nari is too busy training to be a healer, and you can only see her if you are injured or sick and you need healing. So Dara abruptly raised a fist and then smashed it through the heavy sandblasted glass table. The top shattered, sparkling shards of hazy glass cascading over the action and the floor. He didn't even flinch. Instead, he raised his hands and looked at the jagged pieces of glass embedded in his skin with mock surprise. There, he deadpanned. I'm injured. And that is the exact moment where Diana fell in love with yet another fictional character.
Yes. Well, at least my husband appreciates me falling in love with fictional characters and not real people. So, I mean,
it's so much easier.
Running away with Dara, though he has gotten kind of nervous about Doctor Who.
And I posted this on our Instagram story, but I have readjusted my list of dream libraries to add Ali's library to the list.
I picture that to be expansive and lovely and warm with like a nice fire going in the background and
like, can they just make a movie out of this?
I would love it. Or not even a movie, like give me a TV series, because I mean we can fill it with so many great people of color, and we have a strong female lead, and let's take a moment to talk about the cast of characters that surround Nari and Dara and Ali. They're all so well developed.
Even the king, like we hate the king.
Mm-hmm. We hate the king. I have the king casted.
Who? I mean, who? The actor.
Okay, so go ahead and talk about your topic about the other characters.
So was he in love with Nari's mother? Because he talks about her like there's something there.
I think he was.
Oh, we don't know. It's not.
We don't know. We don't know for sure, and it leads into part of my theory. But yeah, I think he was in love with her, and I think he is part of the reason why Nari's mother is no more.
Dun, dun, dun. I was a little nervous that there was going to be some kind of Luke, Leia, awkward love triangle between Ali and Nari, which,
But no, we don't have that problem.
so awkward. Thank God.
At least not in this book, we don't have it. And I don't think we're going to have it in book 2. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I really don't. No, I don't think the love was mutual between the two of them. I don't think Nari's mother loved Kasham as much, and I think she looked at Kashan a lot like Nari does, where he's a mark, where he's a political tool for her. I think she was either in love with what's the other guy's name? The minister.
Kazay or Kaveh or the Grand Wazir.
Yeah, the one that talks to Nisham a lot, and you see the guard's father. If anything, I think she was in love with him. If anything,
I kind of like him. Like, he's a little seedy and kind of shady, but it's just, I don't know who's good or bad, and
you really don't. Even at the end of this book, you're still guessing right up to the end who's good and who's bad.
Does the brother die? I like the brother.
No, the brother does not die.
Okay, good.
Not in this book. Okay, so Oded Fair is who I've casted as Kashan the king. Now, Oded, you will remember from such movies as The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. He was the head of the guards.
I love him.
Right? And also
not as the king, though. He's too handsome to be the king.
Well, if you also watch Charmed, he's also he was the bad guy in Charmed.
Oh, he was a bad guy in Charmed. I remember him. He was a very bad guy in Charmed.
And he's gotten older, and I think he can pull off that. I feel like Kashan at this point is that silver fox.
I'm trying to remember. So I know I've talked about my mom's fascination with Turkish dramas.
Yes.
On the show.
Oh, I think we could have cast some wonderful people from there too.
Oh my gosh, I have to text her and see if she's awake to find out what the name of that was. There's this Turkish actor, and I mean, apparently there are no ugly people in Turkey, because every single person in every single series that I have watched with her, because I have watched multiple Turkish dramas with her, they're all gorgeous and they're beautiful. But the main guy, I remember his name. Hold on, Moher. His name Moher. Netflix. Let's see if I can find him really quick. He is perfect. No, not Mother with Jennifer Lawrence. Turkish series, but he would be perfect for the brother, or no. I'll have to Google it and let you guys know, because I'm not finding it right now.
Yeah, I really do enjoy this series. It's such a great series.
I need to find it now, you guys. And also, my favorite scene so far was the sparring scene between Ali and Dara.
I love their interactions together.
Because you almost, like, it's so hard for Dara. First of all, he hasn't been back there in 1400 years. So, sorry. His knowledge of the politics and the social climate and the way everything happens is slightly outdated.
Yeah.
And so I almost feel like he might like Ali if he knew the things that Ali was doing under wraps, which he is no longer doing.
Maybe not, though, because, I mean, isn't Dara against, he keeping the races separate? Because, I mean, he was fighting really hard.
Yeah. See, that's why I get a little confused, because I lose track of who hates whom.
Yeah, because I mean, he's part of that race where the Shafit, the mixed race people, were you don't mix with them, and he doesn't necessarily. I don't feel like he hates them, but he also feels like they're not to be touched. They're not to be You're not supposed to be having these romantic entanglements with them, and I think that's part of the issues that he had with Nari, is that he starts developing these feelings for her before he realizes that she is not before she realizes that she's pureblood. And so
So is she actually pureblood? Like, is it really just a curse or something that makes her look human?
I don't know. I don't know. You've got to get to the back of the book to find that out, because I'm really hoping that these are some of the questions, because I've got these questions, and I think that's going to be part of the our interview with Shannon on next Saturday, because I'm going to be like, okay, is this going to be covered in the next book? This is a question I have on this, and this is a theory I have on this going forward. You do not have to confirm, but you can tell me if I'm moving into hot water or if I'm still in the frigid depths. And don't fuck with me, girl, because tell me just to throw me off the track, because I really like this theory, and I think you're ingenious for going for this theory, which I cannot wait to share this theory with you.
Well, I mean, for all we know, I might finish the book tonight, because I've read like half of it over the last day and a half.
I would not be opposed to that, because I could finally be like, oh, finally.
The floodgates open and all the words come out.
She's going to get a flurry of text the moment she tells me, and I finished. It's going to be just non-stop for minutes on end. Don't text me tomorrow night, though, telling me that you finished the book, because I'm going to be at a Steve Martin show.
Oh, I saw that you're going. I don't know how I saw that you're going to that, but I saw somehow that you're going to that.
I'm so excited. So excited to see one of the comedic legends of all time live.
I'm super jealous of that.
He worked at Disneyland for a time.
Did he really?
He did, yeah. He worked in the stores, and he worked at the magic shop, and it was like this legend. When I worked on Main Street, it was like, Steve Martin worked here.
He walked here.
Yeah, this was
walked on this ground.
And it was like, oh, I'm in the same store that Steve Martin worked in briefly. So yeah, I get to actually see him live, which is going to be awesome. And I think my night will only be complete if him and Martin Short sing My Little Buttercup.
I just remember them so fondly from Father of the Bride. When Martin Short was, what was his name in that movie? Oh my God.
I don't remember. It's been a long time since I saw that movie.
I remember he called Frank. His name was Frank. That was like I couldn't watch him in other movies because I loved that character so much that when he didn't speak with that ridiculous voice, I was like, it's not the same.
I love Martin Short. Well, there's Glick, Jiminy Glick. I love Jiminy Glick, that character. Martin Short just plays such great characters. Even Captain Ron, when he was in Captain Ron, that was such a great character and movie. Love that. Martin Short, or Steve Martin, come on. Roxanne is my favorite of all of his movies. Though The Jerk is wonderful as well.
I don't even know if I've seen other Steve Martin movies.
You've got to watch Roxanne if you've never seen any other Steve Martin movies. Roxanne, Martin Short and Steve Martin together in Three Amigos are great.
Oh, that's the one that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that's the one that they do. My Little Buttercup has sweetest smile. Yeah, one of my favorite movie songs.
So don't text you tomorrow saying I finished the book.
Not tomorrow night, no. Tomorrow during the day, you can totally do that. Because I'm playing hooky. Well, approved hooky, taking the day off to go to the OC Fair and to check out Steve Martin.
Oh, how fun. Yes. All right. Well, on that note, we did hit our hour, which went by super fast.
It totally did. And I cannot wait for next week. So guys, read the book. finish it in 10 days. You got this. I have faith in you. Because we're going to be doing airing the episode live on YouTube next Saturday, which means I will be available to do the get that audio and everything together that evening. So we'll have the episode available Saturday. So it'll be a little later than normal.
Oh, sorry. You got stuck up on me. All right. So everyone keep reading. And if I can finish it, you can finish it. Not that it's hard. I mean, once you're in, and you can't put it down.
There comes a point, there's a turning point in that book. I think once you get to Dahabad and everything's starting to come together, all this buildup for that first half of the book starts to come together, you just can't put it down at that point. No. There's no turning back from that point.
So keep reading and check out our episode with the author next Saturday.
Yes.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.